Good morning. It's 9:32. It's about this time on Wednesday mornings we present Ask the Lawyer with Bruce L. Scheiner, attorney for the injured. And if you've previously submitted a question, the good news is the answer might be coming up here any second now. If you would like to submit a question, maybe there's something about the law that's always confused you, I'll tell you how to go about submitting that question for future consideration in just a moment. In the meantime, I don't like to waste his time. He's a very busy guy, and he does give generously of his time to help explain the law to us. Would you please help me welcome Bruce L. Scheiner, attorney for the injured. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Todd. How you doing this beautiful morning?
Absolutely excellent. How about you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
I always expect a positive response to that question. You're such a positive guy, which is good in many respects because you can help remain positive when people's lives have turned sort of negative. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you encounter that all the time.
I know what you mean, and I love to help people.
I know that. And here's your chance to do just that because we have a very interesting question to share today with the audience. Are you ready to weigh in?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
All right, this is what it says. My nephew was crossing US 41 in the crosswalk with a light in his favor. A vehicle turned from the intersection and struck him, sending him to the hospital with severe injuries. The driver was also taken to the hospital because he had a seizure. The insurance company for the driver has told my brother, his dad, that the accident wasn't his fault because he had a seizure. My brother got a copy of the police report, which indicated that the driver's wife said he had been having seizures for several months. Can you ask the lawyer if the insurance company is correct that the driver's not responsible because he had a seizure? You must have encountered this at some point in your 50 years, Bruce.
I have experienced that in the past, and it's a very interesting question.
Okay.
So if the driver had his first seizure at the time of the accident, he would not be responsible because it's like an act of God. There's no way he would have known that a seizure was forthcoming.
Right.
However, in this case, the key to the case is that he had several prior seizures. So he should not have been driving after experiencing the prior seizures, and he was negligent by driving knowing that he had a seizure disorder. So I think that, as always, the insurance company is trying to get out of paying a valid claim, but this person needs an experienced personal injury law because that person is responsible for our pedestrian's accident, and they have to provide him with adequate restitution.
I see.
Now, one thing that's very interesting, and there was just an article that State Road 19 is the deadliest road in Florida.
I read that.
Regarding pedestrian accidents. And I did some research, and it showed that US 41, from 2017 to 2022, there were 18 pedestrian deaths per 100 miles.
Oh, my goodness.
So what happens is, unfortunately, when they design these roads, they're really not taking into consideration pedestrians. They're trying to make it as safe as possible for vehicles, cars and trucks and motorcycles, but they're not trying to make it as safe as they can for pedestrians.
Right.
So pedestrians have to be extra careful, although this poor person was crossing in a crosswalk with a favorable signal, so he was doing everything he possibly could. And he had no way of knowing that this person would be out driving after experiencing several seizures.
Right. Which we have his wife indicating, according to the police report, I believe they call it like a spontaneous utterance. I think I heard that somewhere. Point being, if need be, though, would you be able to get the man's medical records to prove that he'd had a seizure disorder for a while?
Well, what we would do if we were contacted by this person is we would assemble all the information and send what we call a demand letter to the insurance company.
I see.
If we weren't able to reach an adequate settlement, in other words, if they weren't willing to pay substantial restitution,
right,
then we would file a lawsuit and would subpoena his medical records.
Gotcha. All right. That's nothing that a lay person can do on their own. You really need a professional on your side for this kind of situation. We tend to find that out almost every week, don't we?
We do, and especially this case, because a lay person wouldn't know that it wasn't an act of God because he did have a seizure,
right,
but because of the multiple seizures, he
right,
was on notice of the seizure disorder.
Right. And the other side of the coin is if you have something like this or anything medical that would prevent you from being a completely safe driver, don't get behind the wheel.
Absolutely.
All right. Bruce, thanks again for helping out and helping us understand, bring some clarity to this situation. I hope they reach out to a professional today to start working on this.
Well, Todd, usually you have a very interesting question. This question topped most of your questions. It was a very interesting and challenging question.
We love, as we say, taking you back to law school, the good old days, Bruce. Thanks again for all of your experience that you bring to these questions. We appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
My pleasure. Thank you, Todd.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Bruce L. Scheiner. And if you would like to submit a question for future consideration, you can certainly do so by going to our website and typing Bruce into the keyword search box. Now, if you have something like this going on, you don't want to wait for an answer on the radio. Call the Port Charlotte office of Associates and Bruce L. Scheiner, 941-743-7777. 941-743-7777. And tell them that Todd sent you from Kicks Country 92.9.